Good morning, everyone. We are ready to begin. Good morning, all. I call this meeting September 5th, the Tampa Regional Rail Commission to order. If you might all stand. Oh, sorry. I get the order. Sorry. Might all stand and Commissioner Bieber using this.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
Republic
republic for which it stands, one nation,
of indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
Very much, and I believe we are now moving on to our review.
All right, good morning, commissioners. This is your quarterly safety brief. It's on our calendar year, so this is our usual safety brief as a reminder. So we're going to emergency readiness. We're going to designate person to call 911 will be Ariana. Runner to get the emergency equipment will be Chad. First person qualified. Well, actually, excuse me, put that back. Jackie is first call 911. First aid qualified person will be Ariana. First aid medical kit is located in customer service. We do have a fire extinguisher located out in the hall right there. Restroom is located down behind the hall back there as well. Anyone that's a DNR or have a medical condition, put a note in your right pocket, right shoe. If we were to evacuate, members back here will go through this door. Middle of the parking lot is where we're going to meet. Everyone to this side is going to go through this door, platform side, meeting by the middle of the platform there. All right, and that's where our evacuation assembly area is going to be, as you guys can see right there. And that's all I have. Any questions? All right, let's have a great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioners Marchand,
Here.
Pawan,
Present.
Ariola, Zane,
Present.
Morowitz,
Here,
Chair Zuber,
Here.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Here.
Ex officio members, do we have anyone on from Stan Cog? SJ Cog? SJRRC,
Good morning, Ken Baxter.
Caltrans? Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point in time, we will take public comment on any non-agenda items. Is there anyone online that has public comment?
Seeing none online.
Thank you. Anyone in the room who would like to comment on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, we will move on to item 5, the consent calendar. I have the first one. I have an action item to take on 5.1 minutes of the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. Do I have any correction to those minutes, or would I receive I'd like to receive a motion to approve otherwise.
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, we can please take a vote. On item 5.1 consent calendar.
Thank you. Commissioners Marchand,
I was not here, so I will abstain.
Pawan,
Aye.
Fugazi,
Yes.
Morowitz,
yes,
Chair Zuber,
Yes.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Moving on to the remainder of the items on the consent for information, I do want to just make a comment on item 5.4. I very much, and 5.5, I very much appreciate the graphs that have been provided in there for those commissioners who have read it, and for others that may be online or in the audience. It does give us a very good indicator where we were pre-pandemic, where we are now, and how we have been slowly working back to that pre-pandemic. So I think it's important when we're looking at our projects and budgeting that we understand what our goal is, and certainly it is to get to that level and beyond. So just an extra thanks to staff for putting that information together for us. So that said, is there any other items that anyone would like to pull or discuss in the consent agenda? Seeing, hearing none, then I will take a motion for approval of the remainder of the consent agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on
Oh, thank you. Any public comment on the consent calendar items?
seeing none online?
Thank you. Any in the room? Seeing none, now I will move forward the motion that has been made and seconded.
Thank you. Commissioners Marchand,
Aye.
Pawan,
Aye.
Fugazi,
Yes.
Morowitz,
yes,
Vice Chair Zuber,
Yes.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, item 6, adopting a resolution ratifying the execution amendment 7 to the agreement with Nomad Digital. And presenting to us is Mr. Cook.
Good morning, commissioners, and no, your eyes do not deceive you. I'm not here to talk about the pretty pictures or videos. We're gonna go under the hood. So, about 5 years ago, staff came to the board to be able to get authorization and funding to be able to introduce onboard Wi-Fi for our passengers. And so we were able to not only just design, build, but also implement a system that works across all of our equipment. At that time, we signed a contract with Nomad Digital for the services of being able to get the components from them, the hardware, as well as the maintenance. And then, of course, since, my technical capabilities may just be a little bit challenged when it comes to the Wi-Fi piece of it, we also do work with the technical consultant Zentrans. So they help us to be able to really make sure we're getting what we need from Nomad as a partner, as well as being able to address what customers are requesting, when they're riding the train, and making sure that we're living up to, our standards that we set forth. So 5 years ago, that contract has now come to an end. There's been a lot of just movement even with our vendor Nomad. They were recently acquired by Alstom. And so we would have come a lot sooner because that contract did end in May of this year, but they were going through some transitions. We did an extension, we did an amendment for another 3 months. And now we're right on the heels of trying to renew this 5-year contract. So we did have an option to be able to do so for another 5 years. And so with that, some of the original deliverables that we asked for were for this Wi-Fi system to be placed on all the equipment that we had at the time. Of course, since then, originally we had 30 vehicles that expanded out to 22 vehicles. So we've been able to cover all the equipment. And then the other thing is that we wanted to make sure that all the components and everything that we needed would last for, at least that 5 years, along with 1 to 2 upgrades of software each year. And so we've been able to do that. And one of the things that we've learned from this process is that, well, after the 5 years, do you just take everything off and replace it? No. They guarantee it for that 5 years. However, in studying the equipment, the usage, how everything is performing, there's no need to just take everything off and start from scratch. We're at that point now where we can really focus on the maintenance. There are, opportunities to be able to just, make small upgrades here and there for some of the equipment. And if we did have to do anything that was a little bit more major, we would come before, the committee again, the commissioners again, to be able to get approval for any type of financial expense. But right now, we really are taking this new optional contract in the direction of it being service focused and making sure that we can get what we need from the vendor. And so with that, we're also looking at some improvements that we can make, and just knowing this process a little bit better now. There was so much that we didn't know, this being our first foray into this space, but really making sure that we are holding the vendor Nomad a lot more accountable for certain things. They do service Capital Corridor, and so, they've taken opportunities to do some of the service in San Jose, but we really want to make sure that we're getting that work done here in Stockton, so that way we don't have any delays, things can be done during, the PM, and so we really are able to get what we need from them. And then we've also wanted to make sure that the service level agreement or the SLAs are really followed and that they're hitting their targets. That's another area where Zentrans really helps us to be able to understand, okay, this is the downtime that we had. This is how long it should have taken them to resolve it. And if they don't, well, then we are entitled to be able to ask for a credit. And we had that language in there before. We just didn't have a clear pathway or mechanism to be able to pursue that. Even in doing some of the analysis, it wasn't a big number, but we definitely want to just have that formalized now. So that way, again, as this equipment is aging, that we can make sure that normal software upgrades, normal maintenance is done on a timely fashion and in a location that works for us. So that's one of the other things that we've really focused in on this latest negotiations. So as far as Wi-Fi itself, is it popular with our riders? Absolutely. About 1 in 4 riders, really are logging on to the Wi-Fi regularly. And, among, them also using their VPNs to get into work, to be able to access their own proprietary information. There are times where, yes, they may be on Spotify, Netflix, looking at Google or YouTube and even Prime Video. But really, I think what we see here overall is that there is a interest and a demand for Wi-Fi. And I think what you'll hear from some of the feedback that David will share in the forthcoming presentation today, you'll actually hear a little bit of feedback about what passengers feel, and they want more of it. So we're always looking at ways to be able to continue to improve this program. And so just know that, if we do see opportunities for enhancements, that would be something that we might also bring back to the commissioners.
Thank you, Marcus. The amendment was handled in accordance with the Rail Commission's procurement manual. It will increase the contract by a little over $1.8 million for a new not to exceed of about 5.9 million. The amendment will be effective September 1st by ratifying it, and with a new end date of May 31st, 2030, unless we extend it in writing. And the procurement and contract staff did review and confirm that the price is fair and reasonable. So the expenses and revenues for the first year are currently in the operating budget for this fiscal year, and then future years' costs will be brought to the board as part of the annual budget. And so staff recommends the ratifying the execution of Amendment 7 for this agreement, and then we would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from commissioners? Yes, sir.
I wasn't sure where to bring this up, but on page 147, and you spoke to this with the customer experience in the surveys that we completed. There's the customer service approval rating or satisfaction rating for Wi-Fi was 45% in 2023 and about 32% in 2025. Is this going to elevate us and get us back up to a higher satisfaction rating? And people said that they would probably more ride ACE more frequently if we had better Wi-Fi. So is this going to bring those standards up?
Now it's interesting. Now I'm going to steal a little bit of David's thunder.
I wasn't sure where you should take it, but it's
So we are going to see some better improvement, but I think this is also an opportunity for a little bit of passenger education too. So just like when we boarded a plane, they don't say, okay, you're going to be able to stream everything and be hooked up to all the gadgets. It's not going to operate like your Wi-Fi connection at home or in the office. Really, this is designed for you to be able to get what you need and then to be able to maybe download, work on it, and then upload it back into the cloud. So I think we need to make some efforts there to set the right expectation. And then the other thing is we do have certain dead spots along the route. And I think what we're also seeing is that as we are getting more riders, and they are new riders, which David will talk about, they're now getting to experience this for the first time. They just haven't seen it before. And so there's also that challenge. Are we looking at other opportunities to be able to take it to a place where it does maybe come a little bit higher? Absolutely. Some of that technology is available today. Some of it's on its way for our industry and what we can do. So we're keeping a very close eye on that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
No.
I think I'm going to follow up on that because I was thinking the same thing. I have a note on mine. But having used regional rail and Amtrak on the Northeast corridor, it's the same thing. I mean, you go along, you drop service. I mean, even in a congested area with lots of coverage, sometimes you're just going to lose service. So part of it is, and that's back to the marketing, the expectations that our customers have, so that they understand. I will say, you take Metro and DC, Verizon's 100% of the time. So, it 100% seems to work much better. I don't know why it is, but on the ground it's a bit more difficult. So, any other questions for Mr. Cook and staff?
I have kind of a comment / question. I think as we move on, I know technology gets better. I keep thinking that the price is gonna go down, not up. Because, we're talking about an increase of basically about $370,000 per year of that contract. But to think that we're providing internet, I think about what I pay at home is costing us about $3,200 a day once I broke it down. And so I would want to know how many passengers we have then, and then divided by that to know, kind of what are we paying per passenger, to have that internet, just because I want them to know we're providing this for you at a cost of this. So you look at your ticket price may be less than what we're providing you in internet service. So I just wanted to throw that out there to maybe narrow that number down even. Oops, I dialed it down a little more.
Any other questions anyone online?
Seeing none online.
Okay, then I will allow this public comment. Do we have any public comment online?
Seeing none
And any public comment in the room? Seeing none in the room, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll vote, please.
Thank you. Commissioners Marchand,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Bazey,
Yes.
Morowitz,
yes,
Vice Chair Zuber,
Yes.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the long anticipated performance by William Rice.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. What you're going to see this morning is really a sort of an overview of how the ACE service has performed over the previous fiscal year. So now that we closed the fiscal year in June, we've had an opportunity for all of the data sort of come in. Now we get to discuss, well, how did we do? And then in the following item, in item 8, we'll talk about the passenger survey. And in many ways, these two things really come together, right? To help us understand what's happening with the service, how are we going to maintain the growth that we've been seeing, and really inform not only the service side, but also the marketing side on how we sort of like maintain this level of performance. So we sort of look at FY 24-25 overall, ACE carried about 845,000 passengers, which was a 24% increase year over year. So we are still in a growing mode, like double-digit growth year over year. From a revenue perspective, just under 7 million ticket revenue taken in over the course of last fiscal year, and that's a little bit about 25% up year over year. When you look at sort of these metrics based off of the forecast that was provided to you in almost every month, we exceeded the forecast that we had anticipated for ridership. And then to Chair Craig Hensley's point, we are still sort of on the climb up to that darker line at the top, which is the pre-pandemic ridership from FY 18-19, which was the peak of the ACE service. I would note that as we look at the ridership slide and sort of the performance and how it's growing over the course of the fiscal year, one thing you notice is that ridership month by month isn't sort of like a linear number, right? We have peaks and valleys as our commuters like go on vacation maybe, and or maybe go into the office less during the holidays. So there is a cycle or a seasonality to the service, and we're looking at that as an opportunity, like, well, how can we onboard riders in different parts of the year? But also to note, as you'll see in the passenger survey presentation, many of the riders that are driving growth are not riders coming back to ride the ACE service you had ridden previously, but we're onboarding new riders who haven't ridden ACE in the past and are coming to ride ACE for the first time this last fiscal year. And that has been the trend over the past few fiscal years. So we sort of onboarded all of our past riders very early on in recovery, and now we're in build mode, back to finding new members, people coming into the area needing the service, or maybe just didn't know about ACE and now utilize ACE to get to and from work. Similar story when you look at the revenue performance. We exceeded revenue performance over the course of the last fiscal year each month, as well as over the forecast. I will note that one of the metrics that we're tracking here with the ticketing department and Nick, who oversees that department, is that passengers are paying more per ride than they were pre-pandemic. So they are, maybe pre-pandemic, they were buying a lot of monthlies and 20 trips because they were going into the office more, and those have a higher discount rate than some of the other passes. Well, now they're buying into sort of like smaller denominations of rides, and so they're paying more per ride, which when we sort of look at, well, how is ridership growth tracking against revenue growth? The revenue growth is sometimes, most of the time, a little bit higher than the ridership growth because of that metric. Each rider is paying a little bit more. As we sort of drill down a little bit, okay, that's like sort of the overview of performance. Performance is accelerating. We're in sort of like the double-digit growth. Well, how is that working from a market perspective? So we typically sort of chunk the corridor up into three primary market areas. So the San Joaquin County stations, Stockton, Lathrop, Manteca, and Tracy, the Tri-Valley stations, Vasco, Livermore, Pleasanton, and then Fremont, and then the South Bay station. So what you're looking here at in the graph on the right is the ONs. So that's one thing that's sort of handy about the A service is it's very directional. So when we sort of parse the data, we can sort of like just look at one direction. Maybe that's different than the brain that we have to put on when we look at the San Joaquins, where people are traveling north and south and all sort of around all the time. With ACE, it's a little bit simpler. We can just look at how are people utilizing those morning trains to get to their destination? How are they using the trains to come back? And so when you see here, San Joaquin County has some significant growth over the last fiscal year, over 40,000 passengers, 40,000 ONs of growth over the last fiscal year. And then the Tri-Valley is actually really close behind, a little bit under 40,000, but growing as well. And even in our sort of Fremont station, which is our primary ON station in the South Bay area, like there's also a little bit of growth there as well. And then Lathrop, Manteca sort of was the station that increased ridership the most, about 19%. When you look at, okay, well, here, what about the arrivals? Where are passengers going within the corridor? We primarily see, really just two of those markets being where they're getting off. Then the Tri-Valley, there is growth in the offs in that area. And then Fremont and the South Bay area, particularly the Great America station where we have our extensive shuttle system, really is onboarding a lot of the passengers that are utilizing the A service. A lot of the growth is in that area. This particularly has been a discussion around of staff, and one of our focuses really particularly is in the Tri-Valley area and meeting with Tri-Valley employers to really increase the performance of the Tri-Valley market as a destination for our commuters. That's really strategic from the perspective, then that means we can sell that seat hopefully twice, right? So someone from San Joaquin County getting off in the Tri-Valley to go to work, but then someone from the Tri-Valley getting on and taking that seat to ride to the South Bay. So really increasing the efficiency of the service as we sort of look ahead. And there are quite a few employers that we have been engaging with and really looking for opportunities to get to their employee base. As we look at on-time performance, the goal set for ACE is 90%, and we had sort of a mixed year over this past year. Some months meeting that goal, other months just trailing that goal slightly. There have been a few dynamics within our corridor that have affected the on-time performance, and we're really looking at tackling those strategically. One is there's a morning freight train that conflicts with some of our morning trains in the morning. So we're talking to UP about how can we better sort of coordinate together to get those trains to their destinations on time. And there's actually some congestion in the South Bay area with some of our passenger service partners like the Capital Corridor that we're working with them on how do they schedule their trains, how do we schedule our trains, how does UP dispatch us so we can remain on time. And then there actually are some improvements in that part of the corridor that will also help the fluidity of the corridor itself. Some really sort of low-hanging fruit opportunities for us is cost. Always find that there's a false sense of security where I want to say something and then it goes one more time. So there are a few low-hanging fruit opportunities for OTB. One of those actually rescheduling one of the San Joaquin trains, which is 702, comes out of Sacramento early in the morning and then ends up being late and then conflicting with ACE 7. So the San Joaquins is already working on a schedule change that will be effective later this year. And then that will remove that conflict from even being really possible because it'll be scheduled at a different time. And then there's some system-wide coordination, as I mentioned, with our other passenger train partners that will also help this later this year. As we look at special trains, which is a part of our sort of performance initiatives for the service, this last year we carried just under 27,000 passengers on the special trains, which as you can see is almost sort of doubling the passengers that took those trains, with actually less trains operating to the events. And so really looking at not only we sort of clap for these numbers, but we're also looking at growing this in the upcoming year. when you sort of look at, well, like, how are we getting to these passengers? How are we onboarding new riders? Well, certainly we do have an extensive advertising program that's targeting specifically commuters and people traveling to and from the Tri-Valley and the South Bay, and very targeted, at those populations that we're looking to onboard. But we also have, quite a bit of outreach that's happening, sort of boots on the ground, like in the community. We're really focused on diversifying that outreach. So we're not just sort of going to community events like maybe like Family Day in the park here in Stockton, where we're going to meet directly with community members, but also going to stakeholder events, like, and really talking to our partners about how we can, get a foot in the door with an employer, or, like work together like on outreach to a region itself. And so the team, is really activated. I know, Renee Gutierrez gives you like an update on this periodically about where we are in the corridor, trying to have some parity across the different regions and making sure that we're a part of the conversation. One of the things to note, and we have been like giving you regular updates about the change that's happening on the ticketing side. So happy to report that on August 18th, the new ACE app did launch, and we've already reached 2,800 downloads. So the pickup of the app has been pretty significant, from our rider population. And the special train tickets for the Levi Stadium or 49er trains are already in the app. And you actually can see, like in this picture on the screen, that sort of top bar that says events, like that's like the one place to go, and you can click on it and find more information and get to how to book that ticket's available today. We've already sold 6 season passes. We've already sold 35 single game passes, and the first game isn't until the 21st. So we're still like sort of like rolling out the marketing and the messaging, and people are beginning to buy their tickets. This is just like the app is just one component of that change. There's also like the in-station experience will be changing for passengers, and we're looking for that to roll out sometime this winter. We just went through the testing, have some improvements that we want to make to the system before, like our ticket sellers need to use it and the passengers interact with it. And make sure it works sort of optimally. Like the first time we roll it out, this will be the largest change, right? We went from app to app, but now we're going to a whole different process, so that will be coming soon. And just from just from the rollout perspective of the app itself, you can see here week by week, the ticket sales on the app are growing exponentially. We passed a mark at the end of August where you could no longer purchase tickets in the previous app, so everyone now is purchasing tickets in the new application. So when we look ahead, right? It's always important to look ahead. These were the numbers that were included in your work program budget that you approved in July. But we're looking in this fiscal year to carry over 920,000 passengers on board ACE, which when you sort of get to the actuals at the end of the year, for what's in the work program and budget, is like still includes some forecast numbers, because we deliver that to you before the year end is closed, looking at about an 8.8%, 8.9% increase, and then looking to take in about 7.1 million in ticket revenue. So it's really still projecting that growth. And then what's next? So what other things are we working on to really continue this performance trend? As I mentioned, employer partnerships are really important, and making sure that we're in these offices, that we understand like what's important to their employees and how can we onboard them to be riders. Really some targeted community outreach that, and you can see here we are regularly discussing with the Bay Area Host Committee what they would want from the ACE as it pertains to the Super Bowl or to FIFA coming to the Bay Area. Some important events that are coming up for us, right? As I mentioned, the special trains are starting soon. And so we have a lot of activity sort of oriented towards that. Then on the marketing strategy side, we really do see the new app and the new ticketing process, like improving the process for passengers. We also will receive a lot better data from that process that will help us make better decisions on how we market to our constituents. And then we do have a new billboard that's up like on 205. Hopefully you've seen it. It's a really great location, really trying to get people to feel bad about being in traffic, right? And then want to ride the ACE train. And then as you'll see in the next item, we don't just do the market and onboard surveys to do them, but they provide great insight for us to then really improve what we're doing. And so we're really going to be leveraging that data going forward. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Mr. Woodbury, any questions for Woodbury? No, no, okay. All right, any online?
Seeing none online.
Okay, just a couple questions.
Yeah.
And ideas. So, as we heard earlier about the Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
Marketing that Wi-Fi as a real asset to your travel experience.
Yeah.
Are we incorporating that into promoting, whether it's special trains or anything else? But obviously, if we've got an increasing student population, if, you know, those who we know would want to take advantage of that, are we strategically marketing that to those individuals?
Definitely. So I think, consistent within our messaging is sort of that kind of like redeem your time on board, right? So it's not just dead time driving in the car, but yeah, you can stay connected with our Wi-Fi and work or do your schoolwork or whatever you need to do on board. So definitely a part of our messaging. Absolutely.
And then in terms of measuring growth in ridership at some of the stations, we talked about 18% previously. Are we seeing, I just assume it's a direct correlation to population growth around those particular stations. We're seeing new housing going in, they're taking advantage of this. Which is again, one of those decisions we make down the road when we're looking at station development. Are we seeing a significant increase in population with the opportunity for us to assist them in getting to their jobs? So are we seeing correlations?
I think that there is a correlation, particularly here in the San Joaquin County stations around Lathrop, Manteca, as well as Tracy, and the increases that we're seeing, they're maybe different from what we're seing here in Stockton, especially like the location here is like a little bit different from where some of the housing growth is here in Stockton. In the Tri-Valley. I'm not sure, we'll have to like look at that like in maybe a different way. One of the things we are working on are some performance standards and population growth compared to some of like our ridership growth metrics is something that we're looking at. We're happy to bring that back.
Yeah, and I think about it, and again, I think about my past experiences when we saw a lot of higher density housing going up. Transportation oriented development around stations, we saw a lot more ridership.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I'm thinking about, as we know there's such great need for housing, and housing is now being looked at in greater density sometimes rather than standard single family homes. So I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, we do have an initiative like here where we're actually Renee, who's here, will actually travels around to like the development offices and make sure that they're carrying materials related to ACE, so that as someone who is buying their house or buying their condo has like the immediate information, like don't start driving to work, right? Start by taking ACE. So that's sort of an initiative that we've been maintaining.
Okay, that's great. And I think that led to my last comment is, we're doing everything we can to promote the app to our customer base and reach out. Our partnerships, whether it's the 49ers organization or it's, the host committee, are they promoting? Do they have on their websites? Do they have on their social media, hey, you should take advantage of this? Because to me, they're reaching exactly our audience, right? And so I'm wondering in those partnership discussions that we're having, if that is something we're trying to get them to do for us.
Absolutely. So one of the key criteria for special trains is having a partner at the other end who's willing to reach out to their people, right? Because for us, yes, we run trains, we're in the community. I'm sure we all know a 49er fan, right? But they know the 49er fan base, right? So that's a real key indicator for us, whether a partnership is going to work, and a grid that we run through. So perhaps someone in the community or perhaps even a commissioner would say, well, what about this event? Why don't we run a special train? Well, one of the key criteria to that is going to that partner and say, well, what can you offer, right? Because we're going to be offering service as well as our own marketing channels, but you have to tell us that you're going to tell your people. And so the 49ers have been really a good partner in making sure that their channels are utilized to promote the ACE service, and really through like a variety of different avenues, like their email marketing lists and things of that nature.
Okay, that's great. I'm sure they'll appreciate, maybe a complimentary ticket from free.
No ideas. Well. But I'm going to point out a group of people that are totally outside everything you just talked about relative to 49 games. My daughter has season tickets to the 49ers. She lives in Michigan. She doesn't come to 49er games. She sells the tickets
Mhm.
online. Never contacts the 49ers, never contacts you. It's her and somebody in God knows where who buys those tickets. Then I get a phone call from her who says, I just sold my tickets and they're wondering about parking.
So you're the staff. I got it.
Let me tell you what you can do. But they know nothing about it either.
Yeah.
It all happens outside the realm of your typical marketing situation, and there are a lot. Last year, she sold all but 4 games, and I think I got 5 phone calls from people who said, she says, you know, way, da, 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 da. So, I just think, yeah.
She needs to have like a.
Well, I'm just saying,
Them.
she's not the only
Instead of
one,
like-
Right.
you know, there are lots of people that do that. It's amazing, there's, you know, you go to Ticketmaster, he has 2 or 3 places, she puts them online and.
Well, I think they should have.
She makes enough money all year selling half the tickets for the whole game
Yeah.
to pay for her season tickets for the whole year.
Yeah. I do think that is like one area where, you know, sort of like the how to get to Levi Stadium, like entries are important to us, right? So in that situation, like someone, we're like, well, how do I do that? Like, an ACE is like prominently displayed like on that area, like, well, this is a way that you can get there. We also have like a series of Facebook groups that we reach out to that are like 49er people and they promote like, oh, you can use ACE. So I think we're trying to have like a variety of strategies, including our commissioners being, you know, the staff or the for the people.
Thinking by zip code though, so
Yeah.
when somebody purchases a ticket through the 49ers
Mhm.
or one of their website, it automatically
Yeah.
says, here's an option for you, based on your zip code.
Well,
Yeah.
I can tell you, you don't purchase them through the 49ers anymore.
yeah.
You purchase them through Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
They send you away, so.
I do think that that's like a higher sort of dollar value, higher initiative that we can continue to work towards, you know, like getting into the ticket masters of the world where we're a part of the purchasing flow, you know, is really something that would take that to the next level. A lot of times that's a pay to play, but we'll continue to look into that. And we sort of try to make that value proposition, right? We're like, yeah, but it looks good for you because you're like offering green travel, and we really try to be creative. They don't always believe us, but you know, we try. But we'll continue like on that pathway to try to get to the like frontline decision maker and how they might like interact with
Well,
us.
I will tell you, the people who do it are impressed as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need to.
They
do it
love
That's right, yeah.
how easy it works, how quick they get there, and the fact that they don't have to worry about anything. You know, so I mean, for every person we get to go, they're probably telling 10 more people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that you're really onto something, and you'll see that in the passenger survey data, right? Like the number one onboarding technique for us is word of mouth, right? And that's true of the special screens as well.
Well, and I think maybe even just a basic, you know, QR code, even though it's through Ticketmaster, they had, you know, how to get there.
Yeah.
And the QR code went straight to our app or something, that would be a really great opportunity.
And they probably want a percentage of.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
And money.
And I was gonna just point out, when you gave me 921,000, then I did the math and it's less than $1.30. Per.
Look at it.
Great, any public comment?
Seeing none online.
And in the room? Ms. Wilker, thank you for that presentation, and item 7, we did this information. Yeah, okay, going on to our item 8 passenger survey.
Okay, so as I previewed a few times, right, these items really are companions of one another. We have 2 components to this. Watch it back up. We have 2 components to this. So we do a process where we do an onboard survey of passengers, and then we have a separate process, same partner consultant for us, who does a market survey, and these sort of like happen in the fiscal year, sort of in tandem. And we do this about every other year. That's the goal, right? So we did this last fiscal year, and you're going to see the results of that. So this fiscal year that we're in is sort of like our off year. And then next fiscal year, we will re-engage and we will do this over again. So for the onboard survey, we performed the onboard survey in spring of 2025. And this is exactly what it sounds like. The consultants who are trained to like intercept passengers are on board and they're administering the survey via iPads. The surveys are constructed in a way that they're meant to be fairly quick to get through, but as comprehensive as we're able to do. So there's a balance there. Now, one of the features of ACE is that some of the passengers are not on ACE for a really long period of time. So what if they can't finish the survey? Well, we actually employ these postcards that are here on the screen. And the way that those postcards are tagged, it's to that train. So when the data comes through in the back end, it's as if they took it on the train. So we know that, oh, they were on ACE 8, like just like the people who finished it on the tablet were on ACE 8. And that really helps like keep the data integrity together. And we're really trying to understand, well, what are some of the travel patterns? Also, who's on board, right? So what are some of the demographics of our passengers? We ask some questions about like scheduling trains to see if there are any insights that we've missed, as well as some of their experience questions. And this is the schedule that the surveyors followed. So as you'll notice, they are on all of the eastbound trains because you want to make them wake everybody up in the morning, and then people will give us really bad experience reviews, right? So we targeted the afternoon trains, making sure that people were awake and ready to respond. You see to the right sort of like the percentage of those on board that were surveyed. And I will say sort of like, as we've done this a few different times, both on ACE as well as on the San Joaquin, these are like pretty typical sort of percentage numbers in terms of capture. And we sort of look at, well, what are the demographics of our riders on board? From a gender perspective, about 73% of our passengers are male. This has been a pretty typical pattern for ACE. From an age perspective, pretty good sort of distribution across all of sort of the age ranges that you see there in that middle column. But particularly you can see sort of like our core demographic is there in the 35 to 54 range. And then from an annual income perspective, looking about 21% under 100K, 79% over. So that just gives you a sense for who's on board from a beginnings demographic perspective. From sort of a race perspective, you can see from the sort of the pie chart here, or donut, I'm not sure, that it's a really diverse ridership like on board. So we're onboarding members of our community really from diverse backgrounds. And what's not included, because but we asked a separate question about the Hispanic population. And so about 19% of our passengers would indicate that they are of Hispanic or Latino background. So I think this sort of gives you another sense that not only from an age perspective, but also from a racial background perspective, we have a very diverse ridership on board. And here's where I discussed sort of in the previous item, how long have you been riding the ACE service? So the lighter bars at the top, that's last year's survey. The darker bars are this past year's surveys. And you can see we're still on, like those surveys indicate 23% of them are brand new, right? They just started riding in the last year. And so really we're still onboarding quite a few new riders to the service. And then, sort of still in that 1 to 3 years, quite, a lot of growth in that area, 38%. So that puts us around 61% of passengers are riding in the last 3 years, right? That's when they started riding the service. When you look at sort of, well, how often are they riding the service? You see about 49%, 4 to 5 days a week, and then 44% around that 2 to 3 day per week. And you can see that bar for 2 to 3 days is the one that had the most growth between the previous capture opportunity and this one. And I really would say that is consistent with our expectations. So when we had a lot of our items sort of like kind of coming out of the pandemic, what our passengers were telling us was 2 to 3 days was going to be the sweet spot. When we really looked at the data from the Bay Area Council and others in the Bay Area, 2 to 3 days has been kind of the consistent message. Now we know what we're seeing sort of in the news, and some of our passengers are letting us know, right? They're being called in for more than 2 or 3 days into the office. And so we're watching that metric. That's something that we'll have to keep our eyes on. Is it, because I think the challenge then is, well, we really need to onboard more individual riders to reach those pre-pandemic goals if they're riding 2 to 3 days a week. But if we can capture more of their commutes to and from the Bay Area, perhaps maybe on Fridays when people tend to drive more, can we incentivize them to do that in some way? That's also a way that we can grow our ridership numbers. When you look at sort of like trip purpose, that you can see 91% of our passengers commute to and from work. We know that that's the sweet spot for ACE. That really is the purpose of the service. About 6% to and from school, and we do have a lot of initiatives in that area, reaching out to the college universities and really trying to onboard more of their student population. We're really working on that as a growth opportunity. When you look at sort of where do you purchase the ticket, I think this will be a metric that we'll watch really closely as we begin to improve some of the ticket purchasing opportunities. So as we continue to improve the application, as we continue to improve sort of like in-station options, how do these change? And so one of the questions might be, well, okay, we have 30% buying tickets in station. Well, why is that? Why won't they buy the tickets on the app, right? We have this shiny new app, it's great. Well, really the challenge that they tell us very upfront, well, they want to sleep, right? And they don't want to be disturbed. And to get ticket checked for your application, you have to like open it up, you have to show them, so you have to be awake and cognitive, like while that ticket check is going on. And so we have a lot of passengers who just want to display their ticket, they want to go to sleep and kind of don't bother me. We do have a process that's in place with our app vendor where they're sort of on the hook to designing something for us that would help overcome that barrier for our passengers, whether that's checking into a seat or some other method where the PSR would know, oh, they have a valid ticket, like they've been checked, I can move on, and then sort of onboard some of those monthlies and 20s that really kind of still want that kind of like physical ticket that will still be a sort of a feature like of our ticketing products. And so here, so why did you choose ACE? Very important for us, because sort of to Chair Craig Hensley's point, well, these are the messages then that we tell people that haven't ridden ACE, and this is why you should, right? Because this is what matters to our passengers. So traffic congestion, we know that that's important, can work or sleep while traveling, really that productivity time or sort of redeeming your own time. So that's where sort of things like Wi-Fi or reading or sleeping really become part of the message that we drive into the market. And then just not having to be behind the wheel, really important to passengers. And then you can sort of see the cascading sort of like options that were available to them as they really go down the chart here. As you look at sort of, well, what would happen if ACE wasn't an option for our passengers? You can see here, 83% just say, well, I'll just drive. I think this is one of like the value propositions that ACE offers sort of our home commute market partners, like in the Tri-Valley and in the South Bay is, well, it'll be like 83% of our passengers would just be on 580 and on 680, right? We're providing really a benefit to the region, not just to the passengers themselves.
Mr. Curry, if I
Yeah.
might make a suggestion.
Yes.
I would get a graphic that's much more congested in terms.
Yeah. We'll add more cars in there. Yeah.
Make sure. You can get out.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, noted. Noted.
Brought that up before.
So, and then, a really important part of the ACE service is our connecting services. And we've talked a little bit about the connecting services over the past few commission meetings. And these are really kind of like, they are a part of the ACE service, even though they're not a train. And so when we ask ACE shuttle passengers that are using the shuttles in Great America, 71% say, if the shuttles went away, I go away. I'm not going to ride ACE. I really think that illustrates how important that is, that first last mile connection. And then when you sort of look at sort of our wheels partnership at the Pleasanton station, taking people to the BART station. About 52% of those passengers say if there wasn't a connection with wheels, I would be done riding the service. So it really illustrates how important these connecting services are to our passengers, and maintaining those, improving them, making sure that they stay up to date with passenger needs. When you look at sort of satisfaction scores, so would you recommend ACE to a friend or someone? 94% say, yeah, I would recommend. That's a 2% increase. Our overall satisfaction score, about 87%, is down from 2023. And in the next slide, I think we'll see some of the key indicators of that, and areas where, as a staff, we need to focus before 2027 to see these numbers increase. So here we sort of see the areas of satisfaction, not just the overall satisfaction score, but what's sort of playing into that from their perspective as the writer. So starting at the top, it's really important, I think, high marks that our passengers feel safe when they're on the train, right? That's number one for us, and that's number one for the passenger, really important. The staff themselves, the courtesy of the staff, high marks. So again, really important that our customer service face, whether that's in the station or on the train, is something that we emphasize and is being recognized by the passenger. The cleanliness of the trains, I think this is something that has always been, something that marks ACE. As we have our industry partners and friends come over and they write ACE, they go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that the trains are so clean. And then when we tell them, oh yeah, these have been operating from the beginning of the service, right? They go, that doesn't seem to be possible. And so just real kudos to the TASI team and the way in which they keep the equipment up to date and really clean. But let's sort of look at the bottom, right? And like, where do we need to improve? Well, certainly we need to improve like on sort of the Wi-Fi score. We talked about that. Marcus did a very eloquent sort of like remark about it. But so a little bit of passenger education, but also maybe we do need to look at changes to the Wi-Fi system. So staff will be diligent about looking into that. So there might be things like 5G that we might propose to you, or we might do trials of things like Starlink or other things that might provide a benefit to passengers. So we'll look into that, but also educate the passengers on how to use the Wi-Fi, what it is and is not for, and that might help that score as well. So, train schedule and frequency, we know that we're limited with 4 trains, but we're looking at increasing those frequencies in the future through Valley Rail and other programs. So we sort of have a pathway there. And then on-time performance being the third at the bottom. I think, going back to that slide in the previous presentation, I think we know that this is a mark that we need to improve, right? So we have some sort of like low-hanging fruit opportunities on the OTP side with things that we control, like the San Joaquins, partnerships that we have with our Bay Area passenger rail partners, but we have some other strategies that we need to employ with Union Pacific to make sure, right, that we're delivering passengers on time. That'll be a focus for us. And then sort of like switching from onboard to the market survey, just a few slides here. The whole, sort of the whole report is in the board packet, but just a few highlights. So we really spanned sort of our service area as well as into Stanislaus County. Like as we deliver this, it's delivered digitally as like something that people just do like on their personal computer or their phone. And then we try to make sure there's some like geographic parity as we're outlining sort of like the capture completes. And so this is what it looks like. So how much of each region is contributing to the whole of the survey population. And I think as always, right, these are both the previous onboard survey as well as the market survey. It's like a snapshot in time, right? So even from the moment that was captured to now, the dynamics are a little bit different, but it's helpful to use these as key indicators for us. So when you sort of look at, well, how well known is the ACE service? So when we look at this pie chart, we gave them sort of options of various train services, and ACE sort of sitting in sort of the middle area, about 50% recognition. Maybe a larger service like Caltrain or a service like Amtrak San Joaquin maybe had a little bit more recognition like in our area. And maybe Amtrak San Joaquin is a little bit benefited by the fact that Amtrak is at the beginning of the name. So might like play into that number, but ACE is about 50%. This has been a focus of staff, like in particular in the advertising area, to increase this metric. When we look at sort of like how do you hear about ACE for those who had heard, again, word of mouth, top of the list. So and then we start thinking about the overall satisfaction score, this really brings that to light and really makes it a key focus, right? So if people are hearing about ACE mostly from other people, then certainly we want that impression to be absolutely excellent, right? So our writers are so important to us as our first line ambassadors. And we do have several things that we have been doing with them, like passenger appreciation initiatives where we're just kind of showing them some love, like having like free coffee or like other things available to them to really try to sort of like help them know that we care about them. And then also some of the other structural things we're working on. But things here, like online search, something that we're doing on the advertising side, social media, not only organic but paid, and then the billboard is up there as well as a way that people heard about the service. But I think we've always said this from the marketing side that we really have to kind of employ all of these tactics, right? Like if we want to be successful, we'll continue to do so. And so from a next steps perspective, so as I mentioned, like we will be taking the insights from this as well as from our own ridership information and really kind of teeing up like all of our strategies. And then this is our off year for capture. And then you'll see the new capture in your upcoming budget for next fiscal year. And we'll come back and we'll do this again. And be happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
Sure. So I'm doing it. I read through this quickly at first.
Yeah.
And it said, focused on insight into passenger travel patterns. And then I got further into the reports and it said that 50% of the people did not know that ACE existed.
Mhm.
And I was, that was the marketing study because you're already on the train.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How do you not know about ACE?
Yeah.
So, but I got through it. So I said, first was the marketing study.
Yeah.
Started with passenger and then, but we had the marketing study and then passenger survey. So I got through all that. Interesting statistic is that 41% of the riders earn over $200,000 a year. And on the demographics, 41% of the demographic makes over $100,000 a year. And at first I thought there was an additional mistake there, but it turned out it's the same number. 41,000 makes over $200,000 in the ridership, but 41% is over $100,000 for the market. So that was just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Coincidence. With regards to and I grew up during the Vietnam era, so it was all about Southeast Asia. What is a South Asian person?
So someone from sort of like Indian background or that part of the.
So South Asia would be India, and then Southeast Asia would be China and Vietnam and those areas.
Yeah, I'm not an expert.
I think it was the slide. Yeah, it's on the chart itself.
Well, it said South Asian and then Asian.
And then
Yeah, I can help with that. It usually is Indian, Pakistani, Afghan. That's South Asia. And then Southeast is like Vietnam, Cambodia. And then East is more like the China. But mostly around here is Indian.
Yeah.
I heard you. Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, a little descriptor there at the bottom. Sorry about that. I missed that.
And you explained why they put paper tickets. But I'd love to tell you what's the difference. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you can see it. You should just stick in your pocket and display it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are transit benefits, is that something that the employer provides?
Yes.
Okay, so transit benefits, the employer provides the tickets for that.
So, well, it can work in both ways. So some transit benefits, we deal directly with either the benefit provider or the employer, and we send them tickets for their employees. Or in other benefit packages, the employee is provided like almost like a prepaid Visa card, and then but it's only available to be used on transit. So like our ID for like our terminals are keyed for transit, so then it works for us, and they self-serve their tickets.
Excellent, thank you very much. Great information in both surveys, once I recognize the difference.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if I missed it or not, but I'd be interested to know about the participation in discount programs, because I know there's a number of discount programs. You have CAP, you have the students, you have seniors, you have for disabled, those on, I think, Medi-Cal or whatnot. Because when I look at then the demographics too, I wanna know, are you participating in one of our discount programs? And if not, we have one available for you. So, you know, and then they can tell somebody else, you know, it's word of mouth, but the fact that we offer so many different discount programs, cause we used to not. And I remember saying, we need to, you know, we wanna get people, of all, you know, demographic backgrounds, you know, socioeconomic, we need to, you know, have a sliding scale.
Absolutely, yeah. So Renee is going to give an update on CAP in particular today. But one of the features of the new ticketing system that we're quite excited about is that we'll get even more data related to that question, actually. So we have the data related to how many paper tickets we've sold of a discount, but they're all like one ticket. And so in the new system, they're all individualized. So senior, child, Medicaid, Medicare. So then when we come back to you with a more comprehensive update, like how is the ticketing program doing, we'll be able to provide like that kind of granular detail, which I think will be fascinating for us to see, but then also fascinating for the marketing team to be like, oh, like this is where we're doing well. Well, maybe we need to do more marketing to seniors, perhaps, like if that's something that we see. So yeah, we'll be bringing more of that back to you.
I just want to follow Commissioner Crowley's comment because I noted that there was, the student discount is not available via the app. Isn't it possible to just be able to download, you know, your student ID to demonstrate that you're a student with
License numbers.
Same thing with seniors or anything else. I mean, is that something that it could be looked at in the future to address that? I'm concerned.
Yeah, so we actually are migrating the student discount to the app through a like sort of like companion piece of the ticketing program called the partner portal, where students will apply, the host school will approve, and then their ticket will be pushed to the app. And then there are other strategies we're looking at. The reason why sort of the ACE, you know, sort of student program, maybe a little bit different than the San Joaquin's, is it's a much larger discount percentage than on the San Joaquin's. And so that way we kind of like gate that program with either the school itself, which has been sort of the method in the past, and this way it'll be through a concession so that we're really confident, oh, you are a student and purchasing like the right fare ticket for you.
Any more comments, questions from commissioners? Seeing none online, then I'll ask if there's any public comments and questions.
Seeing none online.
None online, any in the room? None. Mr. LaFarge, excellent job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very cool. Okay, we're moving on to item 9, the app update, Mr. Gutierrez.
Morning, Chair Commissioners. Renee Gutierrez. For those that I haven't met before, I'm part of the passenger engagement marketing team. I'm the Senior Regional Initiatives Coordinator, so it's my pleasure today to provide you our ACE Community Assistance Program update, which we know and call it as CAP for short. So the Rail Commission launched a CAP program back in 2020. It was originally funded in the LC Top program, which provided operation and financial assistance to improve mobility. The discount provided 50% discount off regular ACE fare tickets to qualifying applicants that met the income threshold of a federal poverty level of 200% or below as part of the ACE CAP discount. The CAP offering has proven to be successful with continued growth in one-way round trip and 20 trip CAP tickets offering since the program's inception. It's been my pleasure to have led this program since its inception, so that makes me feel young at heart. And through the adaptation and the way the program has evolved, it's proven to provide access to low-income populations needing to get to essential jobs. Based on Commissioner Frugali's question, is how do we get more people on board public transportation and the ACE service that might not make plus $100,000 a year. So this is one tool in our toolbox to be able to help support that population. And in 2024, this governing body adopted the ACE CAP program to become one of its standard ACE ticket offerings. And that's proving to be a key priority for the Rail Commission to enhance regional mobility and transit affordability for people of low incomes throughout the ACE corridor and beyond, because we serve Stanislaus County like residents as well too. Today, I just want to just highlight a brief update on how the program performed this past year. We'll look at data metrics on applications, web page performance, some of our placements and advertising metrics, because in the PEM department, we love data and metrics, so we can be able to keep ourselves accountable and improve for this fiscal year. So we're going to look at application market performance, as you see in San Joaquin County and the Tri-Valley and South Bay. This last fiscal year, we had 68 applications, a few more than last year. So we had a steady increase of about 13%. Most applications were received in the month of July. Nearly 80% that happens to be because we require our ACE cappers to renew at the end of the fiscal year. So that's why July is the most popular month. But we do get applications spread out throughout the year. In reviewing the data, 44 new CAP applicants were submitted and approved, which goes to show and echoes what David and Mark talked about. We are getting new riders, and they're taking advantage of this resource that it's available for them as well too. So we'll keep a close eye on how that number develops over the years. Do we get more renewals? Are we getting more like new riders? So we'll keep track of that as well. Ticket sales, overall CAP ticket sales have increased 42% year over year. This past fiscal year, tickets sold were at 1,286 compared to last year, 903. This was largely driven by 70% increase in CAP monthly ticket sales and a 58% increase in year over year in CAP one-way ticket sales in the month of January, which was our highest ticket sales for the year at 142 passes. And the pie chart just kind of shows the different percentages of the ticket offerings through this discount fare. This last year, it was unique in the sense that we actually had different types of advertising placements that we were able to keep track performance. With Momo's planning and grant team, we were able to work with the LC Top staff to be able to unrestrict some of the marketing funds. Previously, we were only able to do grassroots event sponsorships for promoting the event. This last year, we were able to spread that out through station signage, digital search and display, YouTube, Meta, and Instagram platforms, mall kiosk. So we got some foot traffic like visibility, and also our standard flyer distribution in outreach events in the local communities. And then the metric here just kind of shows the efforts that were paid for just to increase brand awareness. We had 2.97 million impressions, about 27.8 thousand clicks onto the landing page, where folks were able to learn more about the program, apply for the program, and take advantage of the discount. So overall, the program has been successful. The partnership with 201 of San Joaquin County and with Family Resource Referral Centers to perform income assessments for applicants continues to be effective. Kudos to the ticketing team. They work hand in hand with the 211 team to make sure that this program is not compromised. And over the years, this structure has been proven to be effective. Over the life of the means-based ticketing program, the CAP enrollment continues to gain traction year over year. As I mentioned earlier, we were about 68 applicants in. I remember the first year we had 15 applicants. The next few years, about 25, 30, and then it went up to 40, which is great that the numbers are slowly increasing. So we're meeting the need of the community to be able to get them to their employer or the essential destinations. And overall, the CAP ticket sales grew in each ticket offering compared to the previous year, which I thought that was unique, because sometimes we just have one or two ticket offerings that exceed, but this year every ticket offering increased. that's a little bit of quantitative metrics, but I also want to share some qualitative metrics. I did reach out to our current CAP participants to see how our program's doing, how we can improve, and any feedback. So I just want to share some testimonials. It has helped me tremendously financially and it's reliable. This applicant learned it through our advertisement platform. Another applicant stated, I just want to thank you. The CAP benefit has made a real difference in my daily life. It's helped ease the cost of commuting and brought peace of mind. I have reliable, affordable transportation. I truly appreciate the support and the care that goes into making this program available. We had a Spanish speaker submit in Spanish. Me ayuda mucho en lo económico y les agradece mucho la ayuda, gracias. And this person learned it through a staff member aboard the train. Another member stated, very beneficial as I'm head of household of 5 and need a discount for my daily commute. Thank you, ACE. Another member stated, it's been a blessing to get CAP program. I can work safe and come home back with no harm, no traffic, no stress. And your work is outstanding. Thank you for everything. Please see if more people like me can qualify. If others to apply, like others try to apply, but because of $5 extra, someone that gets in Fremont doesn't qualify. So sad. So that person taking care of sick husband, and she works every day to pay bills and rent. But for me, it's been a blessing and very relaxing to be on the train with no stressing. Another comment is, it's provided me with affordable ways to see family and get appointments out of town and be able to travel independently and not have to rely on family or friends or anybody for me to travel outside of town. And the last comment was, help me commute to work and able to financially support my family with the CAP program, as sometimes I don't have a car that's reliable to drive to the Bay and back. So we take these comments and we learn from them to improve our program going forward. As you stated, be like every comment is not 100% perfect. So we're working with our 201 partner to be able to improve that process and look at changing income thresholds because they do change every couple of years. The next steps, we're going to continue education engagement efforts with nonprofits, community serving agencies that serve specifically means-based populations. We talked about affordable housing development as well too. I look to you for insights since you're like in your community. If you know of affordable housing that's popping up or soon to pop up, we love to be able to provide an education presentation inside of affordable housing. We've done like some of those with visionary home builders here in San Joaquin County. So please let us know. We love to be able to be out there as well. Social service agencies, economic development departments, and local community leaders, we lean to learn from them and be in the community more often, on top of our standard community outreach events and stakeholder events. And staff will continue to work to ensure awareness and accessibility of the CAP program. In addition, staff will be closely monitoring the success of the program, adapting to lessons learned in subsequent years. And also we are helping our current ACE CAP applicants transition into the new app. We've guided about 1/3 of our applicants to download the new ACE app as well. So this information item, and any questions, I'll be happy to respond to.
Questions from Mr. Gutierrez? Actually, just a couple comments. Wondering if you have done any presentations to the Workforce Development Board, which has so many of the economic development, nonprofit organizations, workforce groups represented on that for San Joaquin County.
I'll definitely add that to our to-do list.
Yeah, Penny Virgin at WorkNet and Diane Vigil as chair. I think that's a good place to get the information out. I'd also say that at least in my community of Lodi, getting information to our library, because there's a lot of training programs there often, and this seems to be an opportunity to reach out to a community of people that use the libraries on an ongoing basis. So that's one. And then I know you mentioned Family Resource Center. There's also the Community Partnership for Families, which operates in 5 different communities within San Joaquin County. So that would be another organization I'd suggest coordinating. So there aren't any more questions. Any comments from the public?
See no comments.
And none in the room. Then we will move on to the thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on to the next comment or next item, which is any board member comments. Do I have any comments from commission members? And here for, anything online?
No, I
Yeah, thank you, all right. Ex officio comments, I know we have Mr. Baxter, I don't know if anyone else joined us, but.
We did have a few join us.
Okay.
So we do have SJ, or Stan called online, but they are declining to become a
Okay,
panelist. So we do have SJ Cog and SJRRC up there.
okay, so let's start with SJ Cog. Diane.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Wanted to just have a short information sharing. The San Joaquin Council of Governments will be with the San Joaquin Valley Policy Council in Washington, D.C. next week as part of the San Joaquin Valley Policy Council's annual Valley Voice advocacy trip. For those who are not familiar with the San Joaquin Valley Policy Council, they're made up of the 8 regional transportation planning agencies, other COGs and commissions in the Central Valley, and it also includes the San Joaquin JPA, as well as the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. What this group does is they band together and they organize and strive to address as a cohesive group the challenges that don't stop our county borders. Those challenges in the valley that we all share are challenges related to environment, to transportation, congestion, mobility, safety, and of course, air quality, being in the bowl shape of the Central Valley. Some of the things that the Policy Council will be advocating for with our congressional representatives includes infrastructure and policy package of projects that will focus on a multimodal investment, rail and infrastructure, roadway, highway projects that hope to bring money or make policy changes to increase safety, improve goods movement, air quality, and provide multimodal options for residents in the San Joaquin Valley. So I'm excited about this trip, and I'm also excited to work with the fellow regional transportation planning agencies, the San Joaquin JPA and the Air District as this Valley voice. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen. Good luck on that trip. If you want to see something produced, I'm sure we will with your leadership. So thank you. Mr. Baxter, do you have a comment on RTD?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Ken Baxter, RTD. 2 quick items. I'd like to share with you that RTD participated in the annual Stockton 4th of July parade in downtown Stockton. And the event featured approximately 80 parade entries. It attracted an estimated 1,000 attendees. And during this event, RTD unveiled its new patriotic bus with a wrap featuring the U.S. Constitution. And I really like the words inscribed above for the preamble of our Constitution, "We the people." And so to me, that's very inspiring personally. And I would like to share too, in addition to that, that the Carl Ross Post 16 Veterans Group assisted with the design of that bus wrap. So secondly and last, on July the 18th, RTD hosted its second Metro Market at the Downtown Transit Center from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. And the event featured 34 vendors, including 5 food vendors. We need to up that somehow on the food side, community partners and local businesses offering handmade goods, apparel, and art. And there was a steady flow of people throughout the day from community members, the public, RTD staff, and others. And we received extremely positive support from the vendors and the community for that event. So with that, concludes my comments. I'd like to wish everybody a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baxter.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on, we will be going to closed session. So Ms. Mackich, do you want to? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the executive director.
One item.
Oh, well.
I'll be good. The California High Speed Rail Authority released an updated report a few weeks ago. Dan Levitt and I have been crawling through that document. Various state officials have reached out to us to just sort of brainstorm what that all means. It is a bit of a pivot. The price tag for delivering any kind of rail program is very high, and this is no exception here. And so the pivot is basically seeking to get an additional $1 billion+ through the state legislature, even through the cap and trade program or some other means, Also being able to get a variety of waivers that deal with land use, zoning, certain kind of CEQA exemptions, permitting assistance, various things that all have to be in print this next week because the legislative session is coming to a close. So it's a bit of a rush to try to get all these things worked out. From a service standpoint, the pivot is with all the money that's anticipated, there's still a sizable gap. And the current CEO and board are attempting to attract private sector investment. That's a tough thing with the current phase one as they have to find it, which includes Merced. And now that doesn't look so problematic, but if you're trying to attract the private sector, you're probably trying to do a fast push from the Fresno area over to Gilroy, where you can connect Caltrain to get to San Francisco. So our partners in Merced were a little surprised that this report came out without some discussion in advance. There's nothing wrong with Merced, but in the Madera area, to be able to go to Merced, there's a very large tract infrastructure project. It's called a Y. It's a bit like our diamond, so it's very extensive, very expensive. And so in the ridership analysis they did, adding the Merced piece into this phase one push has a lesser ridership and cost benefit than just going straight through from Fresno to Gilroy to make that connection to the Bay Area. So it's still sorting itself out. It was released, but there's a lot of commentary going on about it in legislature in terms of what their appetite is for support. And then just the community stakeholders that have been in the line of promises for different service. So, you know, it's not unfamiliar territory for us. We grapple with that as well. Just as costs go up, decisions need to be made. And so we'll keep you posted on that. There is pivot. You'll probably see a lot about it if you haven't already in the news. And then as the legislative cycle closes, you'll see what has made it in or not made it in. And then that may be subject to more discussion in the media in the coming months. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Director Mortensen. Let us then move on now to yeah, the train will want to announce the session.
We have two items for sessions, items 13 and 14. The first item is covered from employment and imprisonment. That is in the position for the executive director, executive position, pursuant to government code 5497. And the second item 14. Closed session, public employment, one position, appointment of interim executive director. And that is pursuant to government code section 5497.
Thank you. That all adjourn closed session.
City up again, thank you so much.
I don't know where Stacy is. Maybe she's out that way. Maybe it's, I'm not sure.
Probably went on vacation.
She probably, she did not on vacation. He said, I don't know where's Stacy.
No, you did not.
But it was more for that.
Okay, return to open session, closed session. Adam, he wants to report out on the action.
As previously noted, we had 2 items on closed session. This is item 13 was public employment that was recruiting for the executive director, chief executive officer position. That item was a discussion only. There was no other reportable action on this time. Item 14, public employment, 1 position appointed as interim executive director. And I am thrilled to report that the commission has named David Perry as the interim deputy director of the San Joaquin Regional Road Commission. And his employment contract will be brought to the commission during the meeting in October.
Thank you. Congratulations from the commission. And with that, I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 11:14, and we will be speaking October 3rd at 9:30 a.m. Thank you all.